Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to episode 556 of the Council of Future Conflict. My name is Scott. I'm the proprietor of the Future Conflict channel. Today, we're talking about the cultural decline and the eye of the storm. Now, you may see this thumbnail and say, why is this? This is not a declining culture. This is wonderful. No, this is what they are taking from you. This is what you need to be ready to, fight for. Now, am I hyperbolic over Cracker Barrel? Well, yes, I am hyperbolic over Cracker Barrel because I've lived outside the country for 5 years, and I want to be able to go back to Cracker Barrel when I come back. And what I'm reading today on the news is that I won't be able to go back to this when I come back.
Now, being a cracker, you're no longer welcome
at the barrel. That's exactly right. And so I just want to buy vintage bubble gum in a homey store full of other Chinese kitsch that, it's the only place I can get ale 8, soda outside of Louisville, anywhere in the South. Well, anywhere there's a Cracker Barrel I get. But the point is that they're trying to take this from us. And am I being hyperbolic? Yes, absolutely. This is the least of the things that they are doing to us. But, the sad thing is the little things are the things that actually get people up in an uproar. I mean, we're going to talk about the other side of this, the darker side of cultural decline, with our favorite, he's a Sikh truck driver down in Florida. That'll be the other side of that. The things that these people share.
Scott, check Rumble. There's rants. And one of them's too good.
Nicely done, Hunch. Nice.
Exactly right. Great reference.
You ever see Black Hawk Down? This is a quote from Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, right. The references are flying fast and furious this morning. If you guys can give me in the chat the reference from my opening, I would appreciate that as well.
What?
No. I know you guys know this. I want to check the chat. Joe, good to see you. But let me go to the unfamiliar faces here because Matt, it's been way too long since you've been on the show. But you're one of my favorite kind of recurring guests. Fuck brother, you're a member of the council as far as I'm concerned. How's the billboard treating?
The billboard,
Yancey,
dude, it's man, we're setting the woods on fire, literally. It's now everything's awesome, man. It's everything's awesome, but now in all seriousness, it's dude, we're rocking and rolling. And I saw in the intro, you've got the video footage, some of the B-roll footage of ENVGs, that are up. Yeah, there you go. That's the billboard. The ENVGs, I actually have 2 sets of ENVGs now in stock that we've been working with. Back in the chat, I put a link up to several shorts that we've done on the Brushbeater team YouTube page. Check those out because we shot some footage with that. We're going to be doing longer format videos this weekend. We're going to get some things kicked out. Basically talking about they're not available for sale yet. But what I do have available for sale though is a Jerry C clip-on. So if you already have night vision, if you've already got PVS 14s or dual tubes, whatever, you put the Jerry C on there and you have that same capability. It really is a game changer. Night vision's obviously a game changer. If you're not indoctrinated to that world, there's a reason. Somebody put up a link a couple days ago to the old the original night vision that was fielded on Okinawa in World War II and how it accounted
the IR.
For it counted for 30% of the kills on Okinawa. So when everybody, you get some of these old fuds that are like, well, that technology, my iron sights, and that.
Yeah.
They're like, look, World War II, Okinawa, some of the nastiest fighting of the war, and 30% of the casualties were less than 1% of the weapons being fielded, 30% of the casualties on the Japanese side. That speaks volumes. So yeah, all the way back to World War II. But integrating thermal and night vision together, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, so I just want to, for those who are not up on their night vision stuff, do you want to just kind of explain what they're doing? These are these fusion images. Watch if you can bring that video back up, and or even better, a still image so that we can blow it up and you can kind of talk people through what they're seeing.
We got a set of the fusion. We got 2 sets of the fusion binos in that have a thermal unit built into the night vision device itself. And there you go. So you're seeing the tube, so the image intensification tube, which is what night vision is. It's analog. There's no such thing as digital night vision, despite claims of the contrary. But you have a thermal unit as well that is overlaying the thermal image in real time. And so your target that you have there, which, we obviously we got a role player out there in the woods while we were filming. He's moving, and he's actually moving under nods as well, because there's footage of him and kind of the contrast between the two. But everything that has a heat signature, you can see is glowing. And on these units, we can do outline mode. We can do highlight mode, which is what this is. Yeah. You can go black hot, white hot. Basically all of the things. If anybody's ever used a higher end thermal unit, what you're talking about, or what I'm talking about rather. But you can do all that, and it's built into the night vision itself. So again, this is a dual tube unit that has the thermal built all into one housing. But if you already have night vision and you're getting, you want that capability or something very similar to this, you might want to look at the Jerry C that we have in. Jerry C versus E-Cotty. I'm going to be doing another video on that as well. I have an E-Cotty, and the Jerry C is the imported version of the E-Cotty. Kind of the iRay builds them. But I'm going to say that you can pay 16 grand for an E-Cotty or whatever they're going for these days. I have one that we'll be doing a this versus that. But you could get a Jerry C, which I think it surpasses it, which might sound strange, but in terms of battery life and image quality, it surpasses it. And the other cool thing is the E-Cotty is designed to specifically mount to a PVS 14 and 14 only because of the constraints of which it was designed. The Jerry C can mount on anything. So, and you're getting that. So you're getting a thermal overlay with your night vision. You put it in outline mode. That footage that y'all have on the intro where the artillery piece is going off and the guys are loading the mortars, like that is what you're looking at. That's real footage. That was, if I remember right, BAE Systems, or maybe it was General Dynamics, made that video. So,
that was, what was that, about 2017, 2016 was when they were starting to field that stuff. I mean, I think there were the clip-ons. The clip-ons came out earlier for the special ops community and things like that. But but the integrated ENVGs, or I can't remember what they call them. Yeah,
the original fusion units were being fielded. I think the first time I saw one was in Afghanistan. The unit that ripped out with us, I think they had been Echo Company 51st, and then it was a Lurs company out of Fort Hood. But they had it was like I forgot what they called it, but it was a PVS 14, but it was like big. Yeah. And and one of the guys on each team had it, in lieu of a PVS 14, and it was a fusion unit. We didn't have them, but they were getting them. And again, this was 2010, 2011, and we were seeing it. We're like, dude, this thing is cool. Like we could have done some real damage with this thing, you know. Like it's yeah. So the fact that it's available now, this stuff's available on the civilian market, and we're able to get it. It's a no-brainer.
Speaking of imaging clip-ons, there's one right there.
I know where you got that.
I know where I got that too.
I know when you got that.
Yeah, right.
I remember. Anyway, so it's good to have you on, Matt. I'm glad that your Brushbeater store is just blowing up, and I've been really proud to say I knew you back when. And so I love seeing the people that in our orbit succeeding. It makes me feel like someday I may succeed as well. So who knows?
You have succeeded, sir.
I'll tell you, the best thing for me about your store, Matt, is having been there like a couple of days after you signed the lease and seen what it looked like then. And then seeing it like the day before you open, and just the night and day difference, man. It is awesome. You're doing good things there.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
And by the way, Karen nails it over on Rumble when she says Cracker Barrel maybe should have asked Bill Naps before getting rid of the nostalgia. That's true. Bill Naps was one of the first victims of this, by the way.
Speaking of faces that we don't often see,
or ever,
this will be your first time going without the anonymity filter. Peter Ringle, how are you doing, brother? You're muted. Face but no voice. How do we know it's really him?
It's really me. Sorry.
There we go. Yes, you.
Yeah, just been busy in and out. Having a 9-month-old wrecking ball will change your life no matter what you do. This boy weighed 10 pounds, 6.4 ounces when he was born. Now weighs 27 pounds. That is 3/4 of what his sister weighs, who is almost 4. So it is constantly on the go. Like I enjoy it. It's great. He's starting to he'll probably take his first steps here pretty soon, which are awesome. He's standing up, having a good time, and things aren't too bad. My medical issues are under control, so that's good. I got a couple jobs in the pipeline, and currently working some paperwork for the VA because they denied. I'm sorry, they continued the continuation of 20% for a total shoulder replacement. I'm like, that's not what the regulation says. So I have to fix that. Wife's good. Family's good. My mom has a lengthy history of illnesses. Not doing the best. She actually has cancer again. There's not much they can do for her because it's kind of spread out through her whole body. But she's a trooper and she's doing the best she can.
Well, brother, we'll be praying for you. You know, I know you're one of these guys who you're just a good dude, and you've got some challenges in your life. So I wish I prayed more. I should pray more.
I should pray more.
But when I do, and I kind of go through my list of people that you're definitely on that list. So
I appreciate it.
I asked the chat to keep you in their prayers.
And one last thing, I just my nice little Wardall. Support your local insurgency. I get no money from that, so he's just a great guy, and it's a great shirt. Yeah, and the hood, and I have his hoodie for when it's cold.
Hey, I thought about you the other day when I saw that. I don't know if you guys saw this post. It's a guy who was talking about his VA disability, and he actually gets like less disability for losing like a whole foot. If somebody lost a toe.
I will say I've gone through the CFR numerous times. The rating schemes are very strange. You're like, you can lose a whole arm, but you'll get less than if you lose like digits on your finger. It's really weird. On the flip side of that, you have that fat POS who's going around talking about how all these people who are getting 100% VA disability ratings are like welfare queens, and that's pissing me off too.
Well, somebody told me, like, they're like, man, you got the perfect one. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I don't even have anything worth this. He said, no, man, you dislocated your shoulder and you didn't get surgery, so it's still injured, and you've lost some movement, and you still have recurring pain and instability. I was like, yeah, so it's just a clicky shoulder. It's no big. He goes, no. You tell them all that stuff, you'll get 70%, brother. And I was like, yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't play those games.
That's the problem with the system, is that it's like, I don't know.
It's just, for me, it took months for me to convince a guy who has very evidently, he has PTSD and other mental health concerns that derive from the military, to go get the benefits that he deserves. It took me months, and he's finally doing it. And on the flip side, my former former supervisor, he wouldn't touch a VA disability claim with a 67.5-inch pole. And I'm like, you were in the Army for 22 years. Just you hand them your medical stuff. They make the decision.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Jay Bjornson, we were talking about you and your new child in the back, so congratulations yet again. But yeah, that would. I think that'd be a great idea, Matt. Just Donald Trump answering the phone.
Hello, welcome to Brushbeater's store. Really an incredible store. You won't even believe how great this store is. I walk in, it's beautiful. It's got wonderful people and really incredible, and such a great patron.
This is the one of those. You ask a guy like Matt, how do you go to a store like him? He's going to say, you will never get a store like me.
Right.
They tell me all the time. They say, how do I get a store like yours? And you'll say, you won't even believe how great it is.
See, the next time Matt's on, I think we should all wear a variant of a Brushbeater shirt of some type.
There's a key to doing a Trump impersonation. And the key to it is to, you can do this with anything. You take something, a topic, any random topic, you talk about either how great it is or how terrible it is, and figure out how to self-aggrandize on the fly.
Exactly.
And once you know that, and you listen to Trump, that's what Trump does. Like everything he says, you like this wall behind me. Well, that's a great wall. It's a really great wall. And, there's a beautiful leather. It's tool leather. It's really wonderful. But, when you walk into a Trump hotel, everything is trimmed in gold. I like gold. And I walk in and I see gold. It's like anything, just random.
You can't say he's not entertaining. You can criticize him all you want, but he's absolutely entertaining.
He is entertaining. He has a show unto himself. Hey, I have some news to share with the chat, and and a discount to share with the chat. If you remember, the other day we talked about Farmer Bill's Biltong snacks and how they help defeat Beyond Meat. Now, if you go to Farmer Bill's and you use code CFC, you will get 20% off. So
very cool.
Go and order some Biltong. They make good stuff, but code CFC. There you go.
Code CFC. Thank you very much. All right. Very good. And by the way, if you too feel like you need to have some new night vision after hearing Matt's proselytizing for the good news of seeing in the dark, just make sure you hit that CFC 10 when you do it. Hey, at least he'll know where you came from.
There's a question for Matt from Marcus, our favorite Brazilian Marcus.
Oh yeah.
Who almost froze to death at Brushbeater's camp a couple years ago.
Yeah, he got cold. It was cold.
A
voice package for the Belfast. That would be pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, you can totally do that.
Dude, you can do all the channels.
Yeah.
Channel.
Yeah, you can totally do that. Like, I don't know if they could set it as the Roger beep. That would be great. Roger beep. Roger beep. Or it just says out after everything. Out.
I think that instead of the angry Chinese lady yelling at me, I'd much rather have Matt doing Trump. Yeah.
Donald Trump, this is a great radio. Menu option number 1, squelch. Well, I don't really know what squelch is, but someone knows.
We
have the best squelch. You won't even believe it. Yeah.
Watcher, last but definitely not least. How you doing, brother?
Hey, doing good. Doing good.
How's your business venture going? Maybe it's going too well. It sounds like from some of the things that I've heard you say.
Well, I mean,
be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, there's a potential real big thing that could happen. I don't know though, because I haven't heard back from that guy in a couple days, so we'll see about that. But yeah, it's possible that the largest landscaping company in town pissed off their only mowing team so much that their only mowing team might come to me with the list of clients that they just dropped, which is like 60 clients who are all like without service mid-season, which like it would legitimately turn me into like a $100,000 business overnight.
I mean, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good sometimes.
Yeah. And the funny thing about this one is it doesn't just come with the clients. It also comes with the team of guys who's been servicing those clients for the last 3 years. So yeah, if it happens, then wow. Yeah, good stuff.
All right, gentlemen. I just want to say for the record, we started on time. It was literally, it was right on 10:15 when I pushed the button. But that being said, I think everything that this is some of the best CFC that I've seen in a long time. So let's go ahead and jump into the action. First up, I mean, why wouldn't this make, total sense? Remember the partially deaf Brit who was reported to the police after asking a Muslim to speak up. The police told him that it was hate crime to ask a Pakistani to speak English. So let's listen to the video here.
Apparently, during some conversations between yourself, apparently you've alleged, we weren't here, so I don't know you said it, but you've alleged to say speak English. Or worse that effect? Speak clearly.
No, okay. The gentleman's partially deaf.
Yeah, he can speak clearly. Yeah.
So I couldn't even hear him.
No, and that's fine, and that's why we've just come to speak, because potentially someone could perceive that as a hate crime.
Because of course it is. I mean, guys, can't you see this is clearly a hate crime? Asking somebody to speak clearly.
Apropos of absolutely nothing, I would just like to remind the British people that they may have been disarmed, but lampposts still work.
Well, one of the interesting things that I've seen in England and a lot of the tweets lately is the St. George flag going up on many a flag posts in that country. I think, here's the problem, right? I appreciate things like the Blade Runner guys who cut down the cameras in the middle of the night, and I appreciate the people going around hanging their flag up in the middle of the night. But fuck this middle of the night stuff, guys. They need to get out and do it in the middle of the day. They need to stand up to the tyranny that they're fucking living under. I hate to say it. I mean, America owes as much to the English tradition as it does to any other tradition in the world, but how far we have fallen, they have fallen for the world to have come to this. I mean, I'll just,
I don't know about that, because I saw this letter written to the king in 1776.
It's almost like
remarkably similar.
It's almost like somebody's giving them the playbook on how to do it, and now they just need to read the playbook, right? The
greatest breakup letter in the history of mankind.
I mean, Matt, this is just like one little thing, right? I mean, this is, you could literally find 100 different things that are emblematic of this, like just social destruction. And if you see, there's a theme in some of the things we're talking about today. This whole idea of the culture and the society of the West is absolutely, under threat.
It's by design.
Yeah.
By design. I mean, when you see Rothschild poking the future king of England in the chest, or the king of the United Kingdom in the chest. You know somebody answers to somebody, and that's you begin to realize that these bankers at the elite level, they have a plan that they're following. And the problem is here that people are waking up to this reality, but I don't think that there's been that many people that have put it in quite the correct way. But the reason that they go after the middle classes, the upper classes have too much social capital to lose. The reason that they go after the middle classes, which are also known, better known in recent times as marketplace men, and this is a term that Karl Marx, ironically enough, would coin, Das Kapital, is the class of people, the lumpen proletariat. That's the class of people that actually pose the greatest threat to the ruling elite, because they can just they have the ability to be mobile in the classes, and they don't like that. And that's we see that trope kind of repeated in comedy quite a bit. The nouveau riche, like Caddyshack, kind of, the Blue Bloods versus the nouveau riche, and then you have like the low class, and so it's all part of that, right? If you literally destroy the middle class's ability to have that mobility, they can no longer do that economically. They can't do that. We see this in the United States. It's just more visible in Britain, and the reason that it's more visible in Britain is they have always traditionally had a very rigid social caste system. That we absolutely have in the United States. We just don't talk about it. It's not codified, essentially, but we absolutely have it. This is a game I used to play with sociology undergrads. Was, hey, go to basically when you're teaching them to observe, go to a wealthy area dressed, essentially violating that baseline, and see how people react to you, and basically log your interactions, observe them, and they would go and they would do this as a team, and then go to a low class place overdressed and see how people react to you, and it's that social phenomena is going to happen.
Can I just? There's two things. Most people think in America, like we don't have the hoity-toity posh thing like they have in England. It's just about money. Like anybody can be in the upper class. All they need is money, right? But that's not true. That's half of it. That's half of it, right? The other half of it is some sort of self-identification, and that's usually through dress. It's through manners. It's through like these it's kind of like what you were saying. You go to someplace low class and you dress up, and then you always see the rich guy who wears flip-flops and board shorts, and nobody treats him special because they don't know he's fucking rich, because he doesn't self-identify with that kind of class.
Because it's also the circles that you run into. It's the social circle. It is. There's so much more to it. And so if you're an elite and you feel threatened by the middle class, that there could be a middle class rising up, right? The classical Kropotkin conquest of bread type social uprising. Which is what he talked about prior to the Russian Revolution. That's what the conquest of bread's about. What you would do is you would introduce a parallel society that is apostate, that's going to uproot and dismantle that middle class. And so you essentially have like a lot of conspiracy theorists, quote unquote, have talked about, the Kalergi plan and all this stuff. But if you actually read, Kalergi was a person, and if you read Kalergi and what he actually wrote, you'll see this is real. This is what he was talking about. And the easiest way that you manage a social caste system is to literally color code people. That was what that was the whole nexus of his argument. And here we are. That's what you see. That's what goes on. That's what's happening in the United States. That's why they want that. This is why you have Republicans as well as Democrats, you know, to bring this kind of turn this on to the United States here. This is why you have both sides of the aisle that are very open to the prospects of mass immigration, because now you can't compete. You know, it's very easy to keep someone who does not look like you and doesn't share your culture. It's very easy to keep them castigated socially, and you can introduce glass ceilings in there, and it's very simple to do, right? But you do that through the introduction of parallel society. But what I will say on this is that in Britain, just like in America, no one knows what the true ramifications actually are, because we haven't lived through it. You know, we have a genetic memory. We have those of us who are actually educated can go back and we can point to, you know, the results of a degradation of culture over time. But we've never actually lived through it in real time. In many generations, you know, the Norman conquest of Britain that replaced the Saxons, the Saxon conquest prior to that replaced the Angles, the Angle conquest that replaced the Celts and the Picts, you know, and that this is all, you know, and you can go back further and further and further. They lived through that, but we don't have a recent memory of how that works. We're living through that now, and we're seeing the ramifications of that. And I'm going to go on and say, I'm sorry. I have been to, you know, areas of quote unquote culture, as the contemporary left would say. Yes, they are beneath the West. That's not a crime to say that. It's not a crime to say it. People who wipe their ass with their left hand is beneath me. Okay, they are beneath me. I'm not
all cultures are equal.
No, I'm sorry. Somalis, like it's coming out. Omar Fateh was cheating, quote unquote, in an election. Of course he was.
You mean Minnesota?
This is part of their culture. This is what they do. They don't belong here. They don't. I'm sorry. And if you are inherently apostate to Western civilization, and you were brought in because you were apostate to Western civilization, you have no hope of acclimating because you don't even understand the underpinnings of Western civilization. You're incompatible, period. You know, and that's why you have Sikhs making U-turns in Florida, killing people, and they don't care. And
important point to remember about that is that when the Romans left the UK, they had 2-story structures, indoor plumbing, all that stuff. And for the next 600 years, the people lived in mud huts. And I think that's an important distinction to make. And I wanted to point out, this is the content I'm here for. We were only 27 minutes in when Matt said the word Rothschild. Yet, that is what I'm here for.
That's the content you come here for.
I'm just here. I'm just here for it. Anytime I can sit here and listen to some educating, material, I'm good for it, man. Hey, real quick before we get any further into this, let me go through some of the super chats. Squishy Hunter for $5 says, "Good luck to Fem Squish, who on Monday presents her doctoral research project to the public for final consideration. Give them hell, girl." Hey, Squishy, the good news is that once she gets her doctorate, she doesn't have to fucking say all the things that she has to say in order to not get, canceled by her advisor for that. So that's good news. I don't know about you guys, but I was lucky enough to get my master's on base through the University of Troy University, and so I didn't have a whole lot of the nonsense. The professor was always the most liberal guy in the class, and he was at least he was pretty pretty legit for the most part. But I can only imagine what going through a doctoral program is nowadays for fucking anything. Let's see. Hunch Dirty Roofer for $5. Scott, Cracker Barrel's gone, man. I'll be outside. Yeah, bro. Tell me, I'm here for it. I totally feel that. Hunch Dirty Roofer again says, "Hey Britain, just so you know, 3D printer go burr." Well, the problem is you can't print everything just yet. Industrial printers can, but the home printers
you can get at the hardware store.
Well, the fulminate of mercury is the hard part. The chemistry is the hardest part.
So if we're going to the ammunition side, yeah.
But I'm sure it's we're probably just years away from something like that.
I would say people have a knife, I can get a gun, but they can't even have knives. So,
right.
How far have you fallen from a society that you can't have a pointy knife? That's just ridiculous.
Well, this creates a society where only the criminals have pointy knives. It's shocking. It's almost like we talked about that. Let's see. Loki LARP has come back in and he has assuaged his oh fuck, I forgot what it's called. What do you call it when you have to have things a certain way? I forget.
Oh wait,
yeah. I'm big OCD. Thank you very much. He's assuaging his OCD and making sure that everybody has a membership. So thank you, brother, for 5 gifted subs. And let's see, anything on YouTube? Nope, nothing on YouTube. By the way, guys, if you haven't done already, please hit the like button. It's good for us both. The thing I noticed is that it works on Rumble too to kind of tickle the algorithm. So appreciate you doing that. It's free, and if you haven't subscribed, that's free too.
I had a comment here to appease Hunch and Jean Rogers, even though I haven't seen her yet, but it sounds to me like the United Kingdom is taking one in Djibouti.
Oh, Joe. I mean, after Matt's like doctoral thesis on that he just delivered here live on stream, you have to go. I mean, we wouldn't want our chat thinking we've gone too highbrow on them.
Everybody just go back around full circle,
Amen, brother. I'm here for it. All right, let's move on to the next one. The drones are everywhere. We've been talking a lot about Colombian mercenaries in Africa and everywhere. They're in both sides of the conflict in Ukraine, and so we're full circle with drones being used against a Black Hawk, a Colombian Black Hawk that's being. So there you can see it on screen left, now screen center, doing the old drop off the boys in the HLZ. This is. I don't think this is thermal.
I think your microphone.
Like TV.
Yeah, something's up with your mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. This looks like a low light TV, but so this is a drone. I don't know. It could be Black Hawk.
That's a Black Hawk.
Yeah. No, Black Hot is what I was saying. Oh. So basically, what ends up happening, they do the observation drone, and then they fly a suicide drone into the Black Hawk as it's disgorging its soldiers, and they take it out. So this is, I'll be honest with you, this is a first that I've seen using a suicide drone on a helicopter landing troops in a HLZ.
So complex attacks with follow-on attack.
Yeah, I didn't hear what I can't imagine too many. Well, there's one guy alive there, but man, that's a rough one. these drones are everywhere now, guys. And what's your guys' take on this? I mean, this is Colombia. This is right next door to where we're getting ready to invade Nicolas Maduro land. And we've had a breakout, Joe, of FARC on Colombia, and commie on commie violence going on right now in Colombia. Joe, what's your kind of take on this?
This had to be a significantly sized drone to do that amount of damage and carry that much of a payload. So it should have made a little bit more noise that those guys should have heard, although they were landing, so maybe not. I don't know. Had to be a significant sized drone. I guess that's one more thing you have to check LZs for. Maybe an LZ brief just got a little bit longer, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things that you've seen them doing in Russia and Ukraine a lot lately are the kind of the drone ambushes where they just set it down next to a road, and the vehicle goes by and they come in right behind. So that shortens that window of detection and things like that. Right
here.
Does that work against the fiber drones?
Yeah.
Fiber optic drones? No.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a
emissions, right? Yeah.
I guarantee you there was no fiber optic drone in that video.
100%. You're right, Joe.
But yeah, this thing right here, I've been using it all week because across the street from me, the woodland firefighters use first person view drones to detect hotspots. And these things are magic, man. Just throw this in your backpack. It'll vibrate. It'll let you know when there's a drone nearby.
Yeah, it vibrate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Feels good.
Hey, fly that drone again.
At Brushbeater store.
Available at brushbeater.store. Also, your local Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Adam and Eve.
10.
Your naughty time.
That's what I got away, ironically.
Along with that tweet, there's another tweet. Colombia saw one of the deadliest days in years with two major FARC dissident attacks yesterday. A police Black Hawk helicopter on a coca eradication mission was shot down by a drone with explosives, killing 12 officers and injuring 7. The first such drone strike in the region. Ground teams also came under mortar and gunfire. And in Cali, a truck bomb exploded outside an Air Force base, killing 6 civilians, including a child, and injuring 71, damaging many nearby shops. President Petro blamed FARC dissidents, the 36th Front, calling the attacks terrorist acts tied to groups rejecting the 2016 peace deal. Violence is raising fears of Colombia sliding back because you're not paying the VIG, man. You're not giving them their cut. That's the problem, Petro. You need to give your communist brothers in the hills their cut. Joe, I mean, just kind of regionally speaking, we're seeing a lot of chatter about the some 2,000 Marines getting parked off the coast of Venezuela. This is actually not one of my things. I think I should have put it in here, but I didn't. But since we're on Venezuela's next door neighbor, what are your thoughts on the Marines getting a new calling?
Well, I want to point something out here that they claim that this operation off the coast is for maritime interdiction. You don't use Marines for maritime interdiction. You use the Coast Guard, you use the Navy. So the Marines are there for another purpose, and you might want to think that through, especially since you have a presidential address coming up at noon. Although I doubt that amphibious ready group is there yet, because last I heard, they returned to port to wait out the storm. So
okay.
I don't think they're actually parked there yet, but they are en route. And it's a full battalion of Marines, a battalion reinforced.
So I talked about this yesterday on Radio Contra, and I'm gonna pull up a link to one of the older stories that I was talking about yesterday, kind of the broad picture of it. But I was having a hard time pulling it up. So the last time that we attempted regime change in Venezuela, so there a little bit of context here. You know, back in 2004, there was a coup in Venezuela that brought Hugo Chavez to power. Chavez was one of the senior generals, longtime left-wing guy, and came to power. The Bush administration tried to depose him, and there's some. You can look into that. I'm not going to say that he tried to have him killed, but there's some evidence suggesting that. But we had a number of very big financial investments the United States did in Venezuela. Ford, Exxon, Chevron, Shell, and Citgo. And those corporations were shut down. Their assets were nationalized in 2004. And immediately Chavez sought strong ties with Cuba. And if you pay attention to the language that he used, this is longtime Marxist, what they call Bolivarian language.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Latin American communist invokes Bolivar, what they're actually doing is signaling pan Latin American communist solidarity against the United States, and specifically what they call Yankee imperialism. So Chavez died. Of course, he died from cancer, pancreatic cancer, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And when he died, Nicolas Maduro was his heir apparent and has been in power since that time, since his death. So it's just over a decade. And under the first Trump administration, one of the longstanding goals in South America is recognizing that for Russia and China, that is their foothold into Latin America. Cuba was previously, Nicaragua was to a large degree, El Salvador, which is now, completely off the table for Russia and China, at least for the time being. But that has been the focus of the Trump administration in both of these iterations of it. And, under the Democrat administrations, they turned a blind eye to it for the most part. Under the second Bush administration, they were making moves to try and make inroads in Latin America. But obviously the GWAT was hot and heavy at the time, and that took the primary focus. So now where it all is coming to a head has to do with oil futures. And the oil futures in Venezuela are the key to BRICS. If you want to break BRICS, you have to take Venezuela off the table. No doubt about it. That's what it all boils down to. They know this. And they were trying to get rid of Maduro the first time, Juan Guaido. They were going the color revolution route. It backfired in large part because of the State Department internally sabotaging it. Nikki Haley bungled it. I think that's probably a big reason that she's not a part of this administration now. Is because of how it was bungled, and it was bungled mainly from Colombia. This was the soldiers in flannel shirts rebellion, and Juan Guaido was the political end state of that, his candidacy. He's still running a government in exile, by the way. A lot of people have forgot about that. So what did the Russians do and the Chinese? China has been the primary investor in Venezuelan infrastructure, as well as we can extend that to the larger Caribbean. If you go anywhere in any of the small nation island states in the Caribbean, you're going to see China as they have a major presence there. I have been in contact with a large number of people who have went to Cuba as missionaries. And they've all come back and said the same things. A lot of the equipment, a lot of the security forces loadouts, this is all supplied by China, including the TBR-119, which is part of the reason that I have them in the store, is so that I'm familiar with them. Roseneft, AK Kalashnikov concerns. Part of the reason I knew we were going to be talking about this today. Wear my AK shirt from PSA. But they stood up a factory to build arms and ammunition in Caracas. And, those are all stories that I've covered dating back to 2017 on American Partisan. But what the Russians did when the Soldiers in Flannel Shirts rebellion was at its zenith, and there were several assassination attempts on Maduro using drones, by the way, using drones, and the street protests were getting crazy. There was a few open street battles in Caracas proper and several of the other smaller municipalities. Wagner Group came in, and not Wagner Group, the penal battalions that we know of from Ukraine, but the actual pipe hitters from what we would consider to be tier 1 guys were going in, and they were running a counterinsurgency campaign, which always begins with doing a national blackout, complete communications blackout. And then, isolating the targets from there and mitigating them. But something else that the Russians did that was particularly interesting to me still is they parked a squadron of Tu-160s, which are an intermediate range nuclear capable bomber. And they parked a squadron of them there. So that's 2 aircraft with the staff to maintain them, and then larger Antonov for transportation of all your maintenance equipment.
It's essentially the modern day version of what the Russians were doing during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. So the purpose behind the naval buildup and the detachment of Marines that are going there from the MU that they're parking, is a Marine Expeditionary Unit, they're parking off the coast, is to be a blockade. You're not getting in there. You're not getting in there. And there's also been a number of moves over the past 18 months. Venezuela has, it was looking like at one point that they were going to try a military incursion into Guyana. Guyana, it's as I explained yesterday on Radio Contra, it's a very similar situation to Iraq and Kuwait in 1990. Is they basically, Venezuela is trying to corner a larger market of oil shares than they have currently, so that they become the magnate of controlling oil futures. Mm-hmm. And this is the thing that BRICS really needs, on top of the Nicaraguan, the proposed Nicaraguan canal zone that they just can't seem to get off the ground, and that's China.
Matt, one of the Venezuela launched their largest amphibious training operation ever, and at the time I said there's one of 2 places they could go with that: Guyana or Miami. And they're not going to Miami.
Well, it was interesting, Joe. I remember this would have been about like October, September of last year when they were really rattling the saber against Guyana. And I said, with Exxon if I remember correctly, Exxon's got most of the offshore leases with Guyana, and that's where the lion's share of the oil is. And that's what Venezuela had its eyes on. That was the opportunity to go, because as soon as you get Trump in office, there's no fucking way he would let Exxon, an American. Now, if it were, say, BP or somebody like that, then maybe they would still go for it. But so I think Guyana is fairly safe now, especially with the MU getting, I think it's a MU, right, Joe, that they're sending down there. With a MU, and I think you're absolutely right, Matt. I think there are a lot of parallels with this and previous, how should we say, short-term military adventures that we've had in the region, and we've got a pretty good track record for when we've operated in and around the Caribbean basin.
Yep, we're going to see another color revolution kick off, and I'm not a I don't want to give a timeline on this, but the quickness at which these big pieces are moving, I would say we could see social unrest start kicking off as soon as this weekend.
Yeah, I would. I very much agree with that. I want to pull Pete into the conversation here. Pete, I mean, this is big army intel. This is kind of your ballywick. Where put your G2 hat back on and tell me what you think about what the guys are looking at here.
You're talking specifically Venezuela, right?
Yeah.
So actually, I did a thread about that maybe a year or two ago, and Venezuela is Vietnam. The terrain, everything, it's Vietnam. You have very little maneuver, combined arms maneuver space or anything.
Right. Outside of the cities, yeah.
You'd be fighting a jungle warfare akin to Vietnam. And coupled with the fact that who's in Venezuela right now? What third nation is in Venezuela right now?
Oh, yeah, Russia. Yeah.
No. Not Russia, also
China. Well,
Iran.
China, yeah.
And Iran.
Iran, yeah,
Iran,
that's right. Yeah,
right? So you have proxy fighters from Iran or Iranian trained fighters. You're going to have proxies from China and from Russia in a jungle warfare akin to Vietnam. And we are being built for large scale combat operations. There is a disconnect somewhere.
Yeah, looking at the package to me, unless they're going to fly the 82nd or some. Oh, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Whatever, Karen, for $20 over in Rumble. So we're going to Venezuela while we have Tren de Aragua running around. Maybe we're going to kill Tren de Aragua.
Well,
that's important.
Trans de Aragua, which I think.
No. She's bringing up an incredibly important point that that we were working towards. This is so bottom line. Why does everyone need to be concerned? Okay. All right. We're going to war with another place. Okay. Socially, yeah, we're burned out on that. Okay. Whatever. Right. Why should you be concerned about this in the American homeland? Because the most violent and fastest growing street gang, most concerning one in the United States has been Tren de Aragua. Where are they coming from? Venezuela, right? This and what I've long suggested since they began really appearing in large numbers about 5 years ago was that the role of street gangs is really for logistics and carrying out smaller attacks that are preparing the battlefield for something. Right.
It's also cover for action for intelligence work and infiltration. Right. 100 gang members and 1 or 2 agents, in there.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Check out the link I just put in there. Sorry.
What they're doing now, and the Trump administration has been going after them very aggressively, but I don't think that that's enough at this point because of the sheer number, the sheer volume of people and the connections that they've made logistically in Mexico. Because again, I talked about this yesterday on the show, revisited it now. There's a lot of noises that are being made out of Mexico, and we know that the Trump administration the past few days, they've been making announcements. Little things have been leaking out that, hey, they're getting ready to go kinetic against the cartels. Folks, these are not mutually exclusive concepts. Mm-hmm. This is definitely going to hit ahead, and it will visit us here at home. There's zero doubt about it now.
Well, Joe, we were just talking, a couple of weeks ago about nobody's ever heard of this Cartel del Sol or whatever that they started talking about. Yeah, De La Sol, right? Matt, you know about this, right? Where basically the U.S. government had basically invented this name that nobody's ever. Maybe there is a cartel down there that calls itself that. I don't know. But I've never heard about it until the U.S. government started talking about it.
I thought they were a rap group. I thought they were a rap group. They were on It's like Black Star, you know. They were on Chappelle's show back in the day.
It came out of the same machine that things like Gothic Serpent came out of. Or
right, exactly. So I think that there's definitely somebody in Washington has painted a target on this guy.
It's positively John Bolton-esque, but hey, what do I know?
Well, you know, let's be honest. I think you could make a solid argument for why. I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm pretty, anti-military intervention. I think there are a lot of other ways to do it. But if you're going to get involved anywhere in the world, the Western Hemisphere is the place to do it. There are a lot of ways to do this without sending Marines in there to get shot at from rooftops in the middle of Caracas. Let's see. Anybody else? Pete, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm going to give out a shout out to a friend of mine. His, if you can throw up his Twitter page, I'd appreciate it. Guy's named DJ. He creates thread after thread after thread about what the U.S. military, specifically the Army, should look like for the future ahead. And he's really against let's go. We can't fight it. We don't have the people, the industrial capacity. And he says, all right, so what should the Army really be focusing on and so forth? Has great threads. So if you could throw that up there so people can see, that'd be great. And then
I'm going to put it up. Watcher, as soon as I pull this up, I want Pete, you mentioned, so this is DJ's, give him a follow. I'm not even following. Follow back. There we go. Now I am following him. So if you guys would in the chat, if you give our boy a follow here, he's one of us. So now speaking of one of us, let's move over back to Watchers. What you're sharing there, Watcher. I just kind of walk. I can see where you're going looking at the maps here. You know, basically the guy says, "Hey, we should really get involved militarily in Guyana." And of course, you've got the famous "Come on, join the army" meme, which none of these chicken hawks ever do. Just kind of, I think you already kind of mentioned this. This is from 2023, so very ahead of the curve.
Thank
you know, just kind of walk us a little bit of what you were going on about here.
Just earlier about how it'd be a fight like akin to Vietnam. Venezuela contains South America's largest unspoiled forest. You're talking about a tropical jungle of 83,000 square miles nation. If you scroll down a little bit, it talks about how dense and rugged the country actually is.
Yeah.
Everything from mountain ranges and swampland. So again, a terrain that we're used to, we fought in the past, but didn't do so well in. And we're currently not being structured to fight this war.
Let me get this straight. You're doing some good old-fashioned map analysis.
Map analysis. It's like they actually paid attention during military intelligence school.
Next thing you know, you're going to be drawing a McCullough for us to show us
may or may not
to step.
Yeah, you never know. I still got all my files from schoolhouses.
From the ILE, right?
Yeah. And then I go in. I talk about how you have knucker terrorists are in Venezuela that have ties to Hezbollah and other types of nation states by this point. And also, they have something called the Los Zetas. I had to do a project for Los Zetas at Campus Career Course. They scared the living shit out of me. Sorry.
100%.
And they are connected to Venezuela's drug trafficking, and they control pretty much all of Texas's border, like the transiting of individuals, goods, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, Zetas has fallen by the wayside. They lost a lot of their power in the conflict with the Gulf cartel. But if you're ever curious about where CJNG got all of their best tricks, it was from the Los Zetas.
Yeah,
those guys went hard in the paint before it was popular.
Yeah, and then what I went into is how major narco terrorists, they have these hubs across the United States, and if you lay a map of our interstate system, it's a perfect match.
It's a perfect match.
Yep, and there's a high-speed corridor of running drugs. Charlotte, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia are all connected by I-85. I-85 is just a drug smuggling speed demon racetrack.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it just talks about how quickly the drugs can move back and forth, and that as more pressure is put onto the narco terrorists in Venezuela, the more violent they will be in the States.
All right. So I think let's just kind of wrap this up. I think, Matt, I think you're right. I think we, in the next probably 3 to 5 days, we see probably some instability occurring magically in Venezuela. But yeah, very similar to what you saw. What was that? The 2000? What year was that when they had that big, dust up in Caracas? There was like a partial coup, but then
that was the day when the drone almost killed Maduro, the one that actually
right
next to his vehicle.
2018, right? I was going to say 2017, but 2018. That I think we could definitely see it get to that level fairly quickly within a week of the initial instability, because these operations always take a little time to get the wheels spinning on the ground. And there is a lot of popular, well, I wouldn't say popular support, but I would say there is a lot of people who want to see a change for the better in that country that would buy into that kind of a program. So I think that's what we're going to see. I think what we're seeing off the coast right now is mostly a sort of Damocles, if you will, versus an actual strike package. But I could be totally wrong. I mean, by Sunday, we could literally see missiles flying and all kinds of stuff. So who knows?
I pointed it out a couple of times, and I'll do it again. The timeline and the statements are a 1-for-1 correlation to Noriega.
Yeah.
So
and that happened, kind of gradually. Then all of a sudden, yeah.
All that's missing is a Marine being pulled from their vehicle and shot. So
let's spin the color wheel. What color will the revolution be?
Ooh, I don't know. You want to go around the horn, Joe?
Yeah.
Well, I think
it's all the colors of the rainbow.
I think it's going to be. We'll call this one the Black Revolution. I don't know why. It just seems right. But I think the timeline that Matt said is right. We're going to see some unrest begin, and then we'll have to intervene. The way that we used to do it in the 30s and 40s was we had to intervene to save American lives and protect American businesses. And that will be the tagline we'll use.
All right. This Venezuela topic was not planned, and yet we just gave you a full, 20 minutes on it. So that is the power of this council today. Thank you, gentlemen.
I can't think of a better group to break that down than the ones that we have in here right now.
I mean, it's literally like we have every piece of it covered. So speaking of another area that is experiencing a lot of attention in the last week or so. General Flynn here is talking about within the last 96 hours, there was a major cybersecurity attack on Ukraine, which revealed that 1.7 million people have been killed in action since the war started. Now, this seems high to me, but
seems low.
I can't. Well, no. I'm saying just on the Ukrainian side, I just can't believe the Ukrainians have cycled that many people through their meat machine, their meat grinder.
No. You're missing it. That's all deaths. That's civilian as well.
Civilian. Okay. I was thinking military deaths. I was like, okay, that seems a little okay. I could buy that, including civilian. Let's go ahead and hear what General Flynn has to say here.
There was a cybersecurity attack against Ukraine recently being in the last 96 hours. And there was a range of data. One of the points of data was the number of killed in action over the last 3 years. The records of the deceased were actually part of the attack. And we're looking at 1.7 million people that have been killed in this war just in the last 3 years alone. So during the Biden administration, so when President Trump says we got to stop the killing, I mean, the numbers of deceased that were reported on, and then now from this breach of this cyber attack, and we don't sure who exactly did it yet, whether it's the Russians or whether it's the Chinese or whether it's internal. There was a cybersecurity attack against Ukraine recently, like recently being in the last 96 hours.
So, well, first of all, concerning that that they're losing that kind of tea, Pete. I mean, just kind of go to you first. What do you think of that, and what are the intel implications on that type of act?
Well, one, it's a violation. I mean, obviously, if they treat it on the same level as an act of war, and if they're breaching that high level of a digital database, but the numbers games that both sides have played during this conflict make, to throw in third parties as well, those who are on both sides, makes it nearly impossible to really get a clear number of KIA. And in my opinion, KIA is the number really people need to watch versus wounded and the word casualties and how encompassing that is and all that kind of stuff. I think that's the true metric that's people kind of want to wash over a little bit, because it really does show how not only the conflict is going now, but how future conflicts could go.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. I've been messing around a little bit with LISCO KIA rates that are being reported through medical commands, warfighters, and some planning factors, and even our U.S. Army specifically are playing games with what defines a KIA and all those different types of things.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting point. I can't discuss that topic, but yeah, I've heard it discussed recently.
Yeah.
Joe, what's your kind of take on this? I mean, whether it's the casualties, whether it's the cyber piece, whether it's if you want to talk about some of the developments in the last week, when Daddy Trump had all of his European school children sitting in front of his desk this week, I thought that was a pretty apt. That actually would have made a great thumbnail. I think
Daddy. The best part of the week Trump was Georgia Maloney rolling her eyes at Vladimir Zelensky. But I'm like, she's Italian. She cannot help it. She cannot not do it. But
much appreciated.
I think that Trump's kind of going to have to wash his hands of it, because he learned that there is no European will to end this war. It is way too much of a cash cow for the defense industries. It's a way for them to test too much gear, and it's a way for them to poke Russia in the eye without actually having to stand up and fight.
While still using their oil.
What's that?
While still using their oil.
Yeah.
While
still using the Russian oil.
Supporting the Russian economy. So I think that at this point, Trump is like, well, I tried. I really can't do anything else. And I think he's just going to move on from the issue.
I mean, the irony is that the thing I took away from this whole thing this past week is the fact that Trump seems to want peace more than any other person in the room when it comes to, and I include Vladimir Putin on that list. None of those people are rushing to the exits for this war, and that should be very telling. Matt, where are you at on all this
with Ukraine? It's going to be the same.
Just the recent developments.
I almost replied to Duke of Malta something very off color. What he said, I like the three-legged Macron, and Macron's third leg is actually belongs to Bridget. But,
that's exactly right.
Might get us in trouble. I don't know. We're gonna be sitting in the principal's office with Candace Owens. But I couldn't help it. It was just, it had to happen. I had to get it out there. But no, they're not going to end this war. And I think Trump knows that too. There was a lot of bluster and all this, because again, going back to Venezuela, you look at the timing of this. Venezuela has been Russia's beachhead for a very long time. This is, and this goes back to the old Soviet strategy. I mean, when you had Lavrov arriving in Alaska wearing a USSR, he's got his CCCP sweatshirt on. That wasn't him being trendy, right? That's him sending a message. And Lavrov is, I mean, he's an enemy of the United States, but he's not a stupid guy.
Yeah, Lavrov never makes a move that he hasn't thought out 3 steps in advance.
You know, that's he's sending a message there. They all knew that summit was nothing but optics. They knew that. Everybody knew. Trump knew that. They all knew that.
I just wanted to take a minute to remind people, you know, this is something we had to remind people a lot in the early days of the Ukraine war. But Lavrov, Putin, there's a couple others in his cabinet that are longtime Putin kind of cabinet guys. None of these guys are idiots. They're very good at what they do. And here's the thing. And so like everybody was like, oh, well, you know, Trump called him a strong leader or whatever, you know, back at his first administration. Yeah, he's a strong leader. And if you think that if you kind of discount your enemies, I mean, what are you thinking? You gotta have some respect for these people.
There's also a substantial difference between being complimentary of an adversary that you intend to eviscerate versus discounting them in public and say, he's an idiot, you know. And you never do that. You never do that. The thing is with Ukraine, nobody wants peace. Nobody wants it. Russia is not going to accept any terms that were proposed towards them from Europe. They're not going to accept any of that. Europe, as we've stated, you know, y'all are all spot on. Europe is not going to accept anything less than a full Russian pullout of Ukraine entirely. No ceded territory. They are not going to agree to that. And again, it's because, unfortunately, the military-industrial complexes of both sides have profited off of this. And there's absolutely no question about that. The Russian military-industrial complex has profited off of this and will continue to do so. And it's a way for them, because we, you know, in the West, we have been looking at the Ukraine war through 2 different, radically different lenses simultaneously, which I think is ironic. One, that this Russian war machine has not performed the expectations and is utterly incompetent and you know, all these things. But also simultaneously, in the same breath, they're this tremendous menace that could take over, you know, the entirety of Europe tomorrow if they wanted to. It's one or the other, but not both. And I'm not sure which one it is. Although looking, you know, objectively at their performance in Ukraine, I would lean towards the former rather than the latter. That being said, is the United States and European powers up to par in a peer-on-peer war? I'm not so sure. This is a testing ground for the Russian military. And keep in mind, too, that the Russian armed forces has 2 different versions of their military. They have a conscripted force, which is largely what we've seen in Ukraine. And they have their professional military force that once you've done your conscription duty, then you are invited into the professional arm of things. We've only seen the VDV, which is their airborne forces. We've only seen them fielded one time, to my knowledge. And they were rapidly withdrawn when they couldn't hold on to the Donetsk airport, and they were pulled back because they didn't want too many casualties. Several of their conscription force officers were killed, including senior officers were killed because, again, this is kind of a stereotypical Russian military thing for them to do, to be exposed. You know, they routinely would do this in Afghanistan. They would do this in Chechnya. And this is just something that they would do. So it's giving Russia a chance to come up with new TTPs. It's definitely a learning opportunity for them. And I'll remind people, going back to the early 2000s, that Putin's early success story as Putin the politician was to end the conflict in Chechnya. And the way that he did that was through a counterinsurgency campaign that we both focused on small unit tactics in Chechnya proper, utilizing by the way, a lot of people don't know this, Petraeus, when he implemented the surge in Iraq, and we pushed out from our big fobs and we made all these little patrol bases everywhere. I was there for that, right? That actually was utilizing the Russian model in Chechnya. And that was David Petraeus. That was his strategy behind that, was because that was what the Russians did. And then they also utilized a political model, which propelled Kadyrov the senior to power, who was assassinated, and then Kadyrov the younger, who is still in power as a Putin ally, is now, and he rules Chechnya with an iron fist. But this is to separate the insurgents from the civilian populace. And I'm not saying that he's some genius von Clausewitz for doing this, but a success is a success. This is something that they learned from, because their old model of doing things didn't work. And they are learning from Ukraine once more that their old style of macro unit tactics at the large scale combat operations, that what they thought they knew isn't working. So this is how you're doing things. And implement drones at the strategic level as well as the tactical level. We've seen all of that, how to do that, the advancements in that technology. And NATO's learning these things too. We're learning all that as well. So it's they have no incentive to stop this conflict. I think that all of this is going to fall completely flat. And when the conflict in Venezuela kicks off soon, whether that's this weekend, whether it's next week sometime, this is the Trump administration sending a message to both Russia and China that we're hitting you head on a global scale. If you want to fight in Ukraine, well, that's where you're going to fight. But we're going to take your other pieces off of the larger risk board map. And that's what's happening.
Yeah.
That's the timing behind all this too, by the way.
I think too that it's a way of saying, look, there are some things we're willing to actually spend blood for, and the Western Hemisphere is one of them. I can think of two other short VDV deployments though that popped into my head when you said that. One was a seizure of the airport in Belgrade temporarily. They did that as part of a non-combatant evacuation. Yep. And then Kazakhstan. They seized the airports there. But there was no actual major combat in those. But
by the way, that airport seizure in Ukraine was the Hostomel one. That we covered that quite extensively here on the Council on Future Conflict. We did. And the interesting thing was they did use VDB in a couple different places as kind of shock troops, but almost always in the initial kind of blows, and then they pull them back because, let's be honest, I think they value the VDV. When it comes to long-term slog matches, they'd much rather send in the conscript waves, the Wagner conscript waves.
Let's be honest, like VDV is the only unit that actually performed to standard in the opening days of the Ukraine war. VDV did their job, and if the armored columns had done theirs, we'd be having a very different discussion about world events right now, because the Ukrainian war would have been over a long time ago.
Would have been over because they would have seized Kiev. That was exactly that was the decapitation assault south out of Belarus that would have basically ended that war.
Are not to land and then move out. The role is to land and hold what you have until everything else can catch up with you.
There was one other thing that really spelled defeat for that one as well, is the unit, the Ukrainian unit, which is about the only Ukrainian unit that was up to kind of NATO standards, because it just happened to be in that region at the time. And so I think that the quick response of that unit as well made a difference. That being said, Yeah, it's the interesting thing is when you compare the American military person to person, vehicle to vehicle, all that kind of stuff to the Russian military, it comes out very kind of lopsided on the U.S. side, right? But here's the problem. When was the last time the American military got involved in large-scale combat operations, which is what LESCO stands for, by the way? Pete was dropping that earlier. The answer is Korean War. The Korean War was the last time.
Technically, Gulf War, the first one.
Well, but let's be honest.
That's an asterisk. Yes.
They poked a house of cards and it fell over. There's a couple tank battles, but not of they were all very one-sided.
But what I'm saying is that it's leading to a false bravado to now.
But the point is that Russia has faced LESCO for the last, and if you don't think that doesn't harden the soul of the people that you would be fighting, you're fooling yourself. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't want to send young American men up against Russians right now, because I'm not saying that we wouldn't be ready to do it in 6 months, but right now I don't know that they're ready. I'm not saying that they can or can't do it. I mean, I could be completely surprised, and the American boys takes it home. But that's a tough rock to nut.
I don't think it's our military readiness that we have to worry about. It's our culture that is the
leadership culture.
Well, no, and I'm not talking about the military. I'm talking about the larger American
I'll let you
culture.
talk about this.
We're not prepared for that.
For casualties.
So the height of the Iraq War, where we were taking, going into the surge, where we were taking a large number of casualties, that caused a large social rift, and one that I think we've kind of forgotten about maybe in more recent years. But that wasn't. I'm not minimizing. I was there for that, I'm not saying that. Obviously, y'all knew it, but I'm just reminding the audience. It was bad for the guys who were involved, but I mean, I had a company commander once upon a time that used to tell us routinely, we're an army at war, not a nation at war, and I think that he was right about that, because we thought that, our role was what it was, but in the big scheme of things, you're not talking about whole companies of men getting wiped out, like in the Korean War. Where you had entire infantry companies vanishing, and the invasion of Iraq, you had that. You had Fallujah, you had large numbers of guys that were large casualty numbers, but it was causing a social rift. In the big scheme of things, though, it wasn't sustained. If we were to face something like that now, where you're talking about, the better part of a division coming under assault and taking just massive numbers of casualties, I don't think the American people can stomach that.
Yeah, we lost 600 dead in the opening hours of Okinawa.
Yeah.
Right. That we don't have the strength, or we lose an aircraft carrier, 5,000 people gone.
Yeah.
The American people do not have the political will for that.
So I have the planning factors for KIA rates for LISCO in front of me. It is our warfighter outcome is considered to be 1.25 to 1.8% of engaged forces. So for 100,000 engaged forces, that means that a KIA rate of about 10 to 15,000 over 8 days.
Good Lord.
I know.
Yeah, I can say I this is what I do. I'm on ChatGPT.
Well, but here's the other thing too, right? So the other side of this is the ammunition expenditure, which is, we're getting down a rabbit hole that we don't really need to, but ammunition expenditure is the other side of this. What do we do once we don't have our fancy interceptor missiles, or all of the other bells and whistles that we've been kind of planning all of our fighting around? If you don't get on the X, before your ammo runs out, then what do you do now?
contested logistics.
Well, I mean, this is in the reason why you don't see Ukrainian artillery barrages anymore because they don't have any. They don't have any artillery barrages left. They've got some like 155 that trickles in from NATO countries, and they use that sparingly. And this is the reason why they're using these drones. They're using the drones because they have to, not because they necessarily prefer that. Now, let's be honest. People have been, kind of shocked and surprised by how effective the drones have been, but this is a very specific environment, and it's been very, very effective in that environment. Would it be as effective, say, in the jungles of Venezuela? Maybe not. But maybe in urban operations, it would be very effective. I think I think people would be surprised, and I'll just leave it at that. Anybody else want to comment on this? We kind of went a little long on that one, but hey, it's Friday. By the way, very positive responses to this particular iteration of the Council on Future Conflicts. So thank you guys for all. We got a great panel.
Two things. Reg Turner, send me a DM when you get a minute. And because my wife asked about you last night. I want to make sure you're all right, bro. And Jim Tells You is right. The single loss of life for the Navy SEALs prior to the extortion incident was just cause when we gave the SEALs what should have been a conventional infantry mission, and it was not the right mission for them. They had a horrible morning. I recall seeing them that day. So.
Well, you're talking about it in Panama. They should have used Rangers. It's a Ranger mission. They should have used Rangers for that. They shouldn't have used SEALs and thrown them into something that's just not how they operate. So
they had massive. They had planning failures. They had equipment failures. They had
an intelligence failure. No one told them there was a battalion sitting on top of the airfield.
Right.
It was tragic. That's actually a communications lesson too. They were using. I'm trying to remember the model number, but they were using Motorola VHF radios, and what they hadn't assessed was they had no way to communicate from their invasion force back to their supporting assets, and that was a gross oversight on whoever their S6 was at the time. That's one of the stories that came out of that was kind of revolutionizing the tactical communications model that we utilize now.
Yeah,
was because of that lesson. But they basically were using inter-team radios for everything.
Like HT
because of their. So yeah, it was something like that. I'll have to go back and look. I've got the vignette written out somewhere, but they were utilizing those radios for inter-team communications to keep their equipment loadout limited because of what they were doing. But then they had no way to communicate with their supporting assets, and that was it wasn't good. Was not good.
Yeah. That's one of those days in the history of a unit that they would prefer to forget.
They actually they study it for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Don't do this again. So.
All right. This is where we normally do our Brushbeater store ad.
Look at that.
Hey, Matt. So let me ask you. I since I got you here, I'm gonna selfishly use this time. What's been working for you guys? The training was kind of what people. The training and the radios is how people got to know you. But you've really branched out in the last year. What's been working? What have the people been really excited about?
The biggest excitement, I would say, is really the ability for people to come in and check out equipment, check out what they've got.
The store,
so there's not that many places where you can actually come in and test a piece of equipment that is a heavy investment. Night vision's a heavy investment. Thermal's a heavy investment.
Big time.
There's just not that many places where you can do that and get hands-on with stuff, you know, and that's where we are. And you know, it's something that I recognized early on in this, is that, you know, people were buying night vision, they're buying, you know, Stano equipment, right? Surveillance, target acquisition, and night observation. That's all of your. They're buying all this stuff based on, you know, what people online say, influencers, trainers, you know, whoever. I include myself in that, but they're buying it largely sight unseen. I mean, and you wouldn't buy a high-end watch sight unseen. You wouldn't buy a car sight unseen. You know, that would be kind of a stupid financial thing to do. But people are buying night vision, you know, completely sight unseen. It's you know, based on what people say. And so I think that it's a lot smarter. I ended up, and I don't know, this was like a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I was having people who were coming to class, not necessarily to come, you know, just for class, but because they wanted to get hands-on with equipment that we sell. And it dawned on me, you know, hey, open up a showroom. You know, open up a showroom, people can come in, they can, you know, they can check out the equipment. And that's exactly what we've done. Questions, you know, basically everything. And we can outfit you tip to tail with equipment that I know works, that's not going to rip you off, that actually does what it claims to do, and you know, and does it in a way that, you know, we're my goal from the beginning has been to cater to literally everybody, from the very entry level, people who are rubbing together 2 dimes to get $1. And then guys who, you know, have a little bit more money to burn and maybe are getting into higher end equipment, and everybody in between, you know, working with everybody in between and doing it in a way that, you know, if you want that entry level equipment, you can do that. We have those options. If you want high end, you know, all the Gucci stuff, hey, we got that too. And really to be able to give the maximum amount of value to our clients, because my mission has always been to train and equip guys for the real world. And that isn't just people who are wealthy, right? That's everybody. And you have to be able to do that. And with functional gear that actually works, that does what it claims to do.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I mean, I've been so happy that that you've kind of been supporting the show, and so it's been a, you know, let me just put it this way: every time I go to make my list, I go to your place first, because you got it all and you got the good shit too. And here's the thing: even if you're not getting the Gucci stuff, you've got, like, if somebody's on a budget, you've got good stuff for a budget, right?
Check out the trade-in corner he's got, right? That's the spot if you're on a budget.
Yeah. Yeah, it's see, that's the thing too, is people bring in equipment. You know, if you're trying to trade up, you know, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I don't even know if they're around anymore, but Played Again Sports. You know, beginning of the school year, football's kicking off. You go to Played Again Sports, and you get a pair of cleats that fit some kid last year, but he grew out of them. You know, hey, they're still, you know, get on those. I mean, I didn't grow up wealthy. I didn't, you know, we didn't have all that. We were, you know, we made it, you know, but that was about it. And people that have come trained to the G camp, you see the house that I grew up in, man.
I've seen the house you grew up in.
Wealthy.
Right.
So, you know, it's, but offering that opportunity too, because selling and buying private party can be kind of shady. That way, if I get a piece of equipment in, I do know what I'm doing. I can look through it. We can give a reasonable offer for stuff. I ain't running no pawn shop. I've had people, you know, you get all sorts of like crazy emails. I had this one cat email me, and basically he had a line item list of junk, Like he was, and it was literally, he did the meme where it was like, I know what it's worth. He said, I have a box of Army PT pants, like them old windbreaker pants that we had. Like, he's like, I have a box of this.
The black ones.
I've got my daddy's BDU pants, size small. You know, like, and it was just all this junk. And I'm like, and he goes, how much will you give me for to buy on, put down on a set of nods? And I'm like, nothing. Nothing.
You didn't.
I won't give you anything.
Is nothing.
keep your truck bed full of crap. I don't want it. You know, and he's like, well, I sold military surplus for 25 years. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. I don't sell military surplus crap. Okay. Yeah. That's not what we do. But you get those people. I mean, and whatever. It's entertaining. We laugh. That's why I just smile, laugh about it. But people bringing in equipment that maybe they've used for a little while, we can offer it. I can run through it. We can turn around, offer gear at a less expensive price. And the reality is too, being a trainer and seeing what guys bring to class, there's very few people in the civilian space who I'd say really run their gear hard.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like guys going to the range and training. Like guns is one thing, but I'm talking about night vision and thermal stuff. A lot of that in the civilian space is dudes that are hunting, like they're doing hog hunts, coyote hunts, predator hunting. They're they're doing with night vision, they're doing nighttime tactical training, and they're not running their gear that hard. Yeah. And you can give them a fair price for it, and then turn around and sell pretty gently used equipment, offer it to the larger public at a less expensive price. And so I think that knocks off some of the intimidation that people have, that some of that sticker shock, and there you go.
All right. So I want to, we're running over, and both Watcher and Joe are telling me that they can't stay late. So let's jump right into the Cracker Barrel thing, because let's be honest, that's the fucking story I want to talk about. Gentlemen, what the fuck have you done with my country since I've been gone? I go off to do my thing over here, and what did you guys are running into the fucking ground for?
Hey man, it ain't my fault. It's that lady's fault.
Joe, I left Cracker Barrel with you last I heard. But,
that was the most epic morning ever. Listen, this might be mediocre Cracker Barrel to you, but it's the best Cracker Barrel I've ever had, and you had like one of everything.
Oh my god, it was so good! It was so good. I hadn't had country ham like in probably 3 years at that point. So, Cracker Barrel faces Bud Light moment. Yeah, of course it does. So we got the woke warrior room here. Cracker Barrel's new logo isn't an accident. It's CEO Julie Fess Massino's project. She scrapped a beloved American aesthetic and replaced it with sterile, soulless branding. Massino kept a DEI regime that promises. All right, come on, refresh. That promises. Let's see. That promised to identify, recruit, and advance hires by race, and now faces civil rights complaint from everybody from America First Legal to EEOC and the Tennessee AG. She should resign and be replaced with leadership that will restore Cracker Barrel's tradition. I 100% agree with this. And let's be honest. Let's look at it. Talk about physiognomy and all this kind of like identifying, buying things that identifies with their. Look at her. Look at her mug.
I mean, there's a lot wrong with
glasses.
This, but yeah, I think the obvious warning sign for everybody on this should be the glasses.
For fuck's sake, man. When you take a pair of sunglasses and put like clear lenses in them, you're fucked.
Listen, this is $1 more into the Malcolm X was right box. Okay.
The soulless rebranding of the new Cracker Barrel logo has sparked backlash. So, by the way, let me just say, from a standpoint of a guy who's designed logos and things like this, I know a little something about this kind of stuff. This is a fucking terrible logo. It's not a good logo. This is an internal fucking hit job on the company. If you wanted to redo the logo, you just pull the guy with the barrel off, and you just kind of do a clean version of that. People would at least accepted this. Nobody's gonna fucking accept. This looks like a fucking like Hampton Inn sign is what it fucking looks like. Anyway, let's see. The name Cracker Barrel comes from how people a century ago gathered around barrels in country stores to talk, eat crackers, and share stories. The greater understanding of the barrel is that it symbolizes community, which is exactly what they're trying to destroy. You don't need a community. You can have our diversity. Think about it like this. Go to the next image on the story watcher. Go back to the not this one, the actual the zero hedge story. Go to the zero hedge story. It's because of course Cindy Sweetie is applicable here.
Ghost Eater Eddie says it looks like Timu Golden Corral.
Real quick, I do have to say that the comments are kind of gold.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, first of all, they're not correctly spelling her name. Oh yeah, boy.
That's what I'm saying. So this is what you're getting here.
They left the hyphen out. Whenever you see a hyphen in a woman's name, you know you're dealing with a white liberal woman, and you're about to get the dumbest opinions on everything that you have ever fucking heard in your life. Yeah. You're about to hear some of the stupidest shit that's going to come out of their mouth, and they're going to make awful decisions. Awful. And awful, the affluent white female liberal awfuls. But the glasses, it's all heuristic, But
yeah,
anyway, so specifically what she said to Michael Strahan. I think it's funny that they put Michael Strahan on everything with daytime TV.
Oh yeah.
Is she wanted to decolonize the logo?
Yeah, let's listen to that video right there. That video right there.
Yeah, you got to get some good. Mm-hmm.
Hold on, it's not wanting to pull up here. Let me get it on X.
Look at her face. She is proud of what she's about to say.
Oh yeah, she hates this company.
That people like what. Honestly, the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive that people like what we're doing. I'll give you another soundbite. I actually happened to be in Orlando last week with all of our managers. We bring them together and once every other year. And the number one question that I got asked, Michael, was, how can I get a remodel? When can I get a remodel? How do I get on the list?
Oh, really?
So because the feedback and the buzz is so good, not only from our customers, but from our team members. They want to work in a wonderful restaurant. So we're doing everything for our guests and our team members.
Well, Julie Messino, it's wonderful to have you here.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you again.
Answering those questions for all the Cracker Barrel fans out there. There's a lot of great changes.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Robin?
Can I get in writing that the peg game is going to stay?
The peg game is staying.
Okay.
So are the rocking chairs, fireplace, vintage decor. It's all there.
All right. Okay, because that would be a deal breaker. That would be a deal breaker.
Honestly.
So here's the thing. Have you guys seen the model of the new store? It looks like a fucking IHOP.
So here's what happened. And I was talking about this yesterday, is what they're doing is she's lying about all that. I mean, I see it in the comments. She's lying about all that. But also there's a numbers game that they're playing here. They know that the generation that currently consumes Cracker Barrel, they're dying. Like they're dying off. and they're seeing a demographic shift. And so that's the reason that they started serving mimosas in there, is because what they're trying to do is shift to the sorority girl aging into a wine mom, that market. No, I mean, it's funny, but like, I'm serious about it.
No.
Literally what
image.
they're doing.
The image.
And so the popular thing, like, these are they're trying to cater to the women who wear like the Simply Southern t-shirts, and they have they're driving a Tahoe with their name and cursive initials on the back of it, and like that's who they're and the farm to table slop, that whole aesthetic is slop that appeals to that crowd right now. And so that's what they're actually trying to do. That's why they were like, oh, look, we've got mimosas. You can come in, you can drink a mimosa, you can have a mimosa with breakfast. It'll be, it's great. Wine mom, this is great. You know, and that's exactly what they're doing. That's what they're going for.
Crack. The Barry Obama.
Hold on. Did you guys see that? Cause there's one that I shared that I think you guys are talking too much to take notice of, and it was
oh, the Dylan Dylan Mulvaney, right? Who that is? Yeah. It's guys, I don't know what's going on here, brother. I mean, what the fuck? So how's it working? For them? Just in Cracker Barrel stock. Let's see. Here we go. Because clearly their stock market valuation must be going through the roof. And by the way, here's the new store. Look at the new store. It's like the fucking lady from what was that Texas home renovation show where it's like Chip and his, the guy, the carpenter who's getting ready to commit suicide, and his eternally perky wife. If she made one of these fucking stores, this is what it would look like.
Oh my god, I hate this.
Fucking hate it.
Yeah,
it looks like a fucking. It looks like a waffle. I mean, like an IHOP.
It does. Yeah.
But look at their stock.
Looks like Biscuitville.
It nosedives 14% after they unveil the logo. Tell me now how people will love it. Because look, here's the crazy thing. Your stock doesn't go down. Like, I don't own Cracker Barrel stock, so I can't make the stock go down. It's people who own the fucking stock, who are happy with it before, now have decided, we're putting the brakes on this. We're selling here because this thing ain't going to do anything going forward. And it's year-over-year sales are what's really important in same locations for things like restaurants and things like that. So anyway, yes. Let's see. I think I had one more.
Benny Johnson.
Yeah. So this is actually a great story here, and I want to share this one. And I tell you what, we'll close the show on this one, guys. Well, I don't know. Hey, Watcher, how much time do you have?
I really should get going after this.
All right, we'll close it.
Maybe the guys could hang out with you.
No, I don't want to keep anybody too long. And plus, I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of sleepy here because
Fair.
Well, I've been getting up at 4:30 in the fucking morning every morning this week. All right, Benny Johnson here, exclusive Cracker Barrel insider breaks silence on the woke destruction of an American institution. Eric Russell. So, by the way, at the bottom you can see a picture of him and I guess his bride. Evidently, they met at a Cracker Barrel. Eric Russell spent nearly 10 years working at Cracker Barrel. He's done every job in the restaurant. Eric met his wife there. To Eric, Cracker Barrel was the place where tradition lived and values mattered. But over the past decade, Eric personally witnessed from the inside how the corporate sabotage destroyed the Cracker Barrel American institution. Cracker Barrel was founded on Southern hospitality and tradition by a Christian family in 1969. Since the original owners passed away, company leadership has gone through major changes. Current CEO, Julie Fels-Massino, took over in 2023, beginning an immediate push to modernize and rebrand the company. It began with small changes. The classic brown menus were replaced, uniforms relaxed, dress codes done away with. to pander to the blue-haired employees. Then alcohol was introduced, breaking the decades of staying dry to preserve the family-first atmosphere set up by the original Christian owners. Service and management standards were slowly degraded as corporate pushed for expansion into new markets. The food quality changed along with the drive for new modern customers. The logo and store redesign is simply the last step in a total brand destruction by corporate vandals who seem to despise the Cracker Barrel core culture, says Eric. The logo symbolized a bygone era of front porch values and simpler times. The very spirit that inspired the company's founding. That logo, like everything else meaningful, now has been sanitized and stripped of its soul. The antiques on the wall once told stories. Cracker Barrel sent teams across America to auctions and estate sales to bring back authentic Americana, curating each store like a living museum. Today, that process is gone, replaced with mass-produced decor that lacks meaning. What could not be destroyed from the outside was dismantled from within. Longtime employees left, regulars stopped coming, and standards fell. I felt like I was part of something truly American, fully nostalgia and tradition. Now all of it's being torn down and replaced with just another bland, soulless corporate chain. Cracker Barrel built up decades. His next words stuck with me. Cracker Barrel built up decades of goodwill across the country. We often referred to ourselves as America's front porch, and the iconic long storefront filled with rocking chairs and checkerboards where guests would wait to be seated. Each store I worked in felt slightly different, a reflection of their communities. According to Eric, the Cracker Barrel he loved, the one that so many families cherished, is gone. Eric lived the golden years. He met his wife there, many co-workers or couples too, bound by the shared values. Regulars came daily, often the same table until the day they passed. Cracker Barrel was more than a restaurant to them. It was a home, a place where they felt they still belonged, even as the world changed around them. This is exactly what Biden's America intended to do with America. This is exactly what they wanted to do to our country. They want to change it from within. And mold it to these anti-Western, anti-Christian, neo-Marxist values, anti-human, everything that we hold dear. They want to tip that down. So goes Cracker Barrel, so goes America. Gentlemen, I will give you all one last word on this, and then we'll go around the horn for predictions. Matt?
I mean, BlackRock and Vanguard are the two biggest shareholders in that company. So there you go.
The sad thing is BlackRock and Vanguard are the two biggest shareholders in a lot of companies, if not maybe most companies. Pete.
All right, here I am. It's just the disconnection of Americana from America. You have to cleave the past in order to make a new future with a new people. And this is a part of it.
Stormy is right on the money here. The only time Democrats care about family is when they talk about deportations. That's shockingly correct. Watcher, what's your take on this?
A people bereft of culture and history are far easier to rule and manipulate. Obviously. I don't know. There's a part of me that gets how this happens because, like, I've seen it happen to other restaurants that probably didn't mean as much, but, like, they do. Like the alcohol thing specifically, right? And it feels like it's stupid. It's so stupid. It literally is just all these corporate types reading off the same goddamn books. One restaurant does one thing to get successful. Applebee's introduces alcohol and does gangbusters there for a while. One of the corporate execs there writes a book, and then, hey, guess what? Every single restaurant chain in the universe is now trying to acquire an alcohol license. Mm-hmm. I utterly hate corporate culture. We are going to have a reckoning with the fact that GDP does not equal quality of life.
Well, this is not going to give you GDP.
Well, no, but it's the intention, right? They're idiots.
Watcher. You got to disconnect the whole GDP thing, because here's the thing: the GDP can only go down with these people in charge.
Right.
It can't go up. It will only go down.
Here, though. It's how we got here, though. That's why the BlackRocks and those types are invested in this. It's how we got here. Is the number go up mean good thing, people?
So the reason why BlackRock invests in things is so they can control it. They don't care about making money. They just want control. That's the whole gig on the entire stakeholder capitalism piece from the globalists. They want the world to be worth about half as much as it is now, with a quarter of the people and total control of the people that are left over. All right, guys, let's just kind of go around the horn and talk next week, the weekend, maybe go into the beginning of next week. What's in your crystal ball there, Matt?
Well, as the president and CEO of a corporation that is built on bringing you the best and never changing our traditions, you can make sure that when you come into your Brushbeater store, that you're going to get that same down-home aesthetic that you would have enjoyed at Cracker Barrel and no longer do. You can get all of that here while playing with night vision.
Very good. Very good. I can't wait to get home and have some of that money, that retirement money, to get me some night vision.
There you go. I couldn't help it. I was sitting here, it was just mullet in my head. I was like, man.
Until Matt's kids get a hold of it and sell it down the river to Cabela's.
That's never going to happen.
Oh boy.
Or you know what? Matt's going to end up buying Cabela's is what's going to end up happening. Could you imagine turning every Cabela's into a Brushbeater store? You got to get through the vine wire obstacle just to get into the store.
I would never want to do that. I went by that Bass Pro in Memphis, the one that was the pyramid.
Yeah.
Drove past that thing and just looked, and I'm like, because now it's stuff that you don't really think about until you get into this world and you do it. I just looked at that. I'm like, Jesus, the overhead cost on that place is absolutely ridiculous. You just look at it, you're like, oh my god!
That's always been those flagship stores are always like that. They are a loss leader, if anything. I mean,
it's not economically viable to run a stock tank in the middle of a fishing warehouse. That's very weird. I would have never guessed such a thing.
Oh, man, I mean, just like corporate insurance, just that one thing. You're like, you literally have to account for people being idiots, like complete idiots. Like, no, you cannot go swimming in the fish tank in the middle of the store. You would think that would be, you don't need to point that out, but
and yet there are so many videos, so many videos.
So many. The Cabela's fish tank challenge.
Yeah. Yep. Pete, what you got for the weekend going into next week?
Kind of seeing what being announced today at noon. I think that's going to kind of drive the narrative going through the weekend. And then just continuing to see the mobilization of the National Guard to DC, see what that brings.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is like everybody's like talking about, oh my gosh, it's gonna be chaos. It's cats and dogs living together. And what I saw is ladies like some of these wine moms like posing for pictures with the National Guard soldiers. They're all excited. Oh, can I take my picture with you guys? And the National Guard guys are all like, hey, come on over, and like they're just acting like Americans, right?
They're all going to go out to brunch at Cracker Barrel immediately afterward.
Well,
they have mimosas.
The National Guard guys are probably like, we know what's up. We're not going to fucking going there. Anyway, Watcher, what's your kind of take on the on the craziness?
Yeah, I think the left's about to lose their mind. I think they're probably going to have like a week-long wind-up period, but I think this time next week we're probably going to be talking about more of their marching and riots and actions. I think that, of course, I've been saying this for a while. I think that's the goal. I think Trump's goal is to get the left to act out of pocket, because that gives him more ability and more excuses to just be able to root them further out of power, which hopefully that's the goal. But yeah, I think by this time next week we are going to be seeing street activity again.
And Venezuela, I think, is definitely going to be your next war of the week. I just don't know when it's going to start. We'll see. All right, gentlemen, that's all I got for today. Sorry we didn't get to all the advertised topics, but let me just tell you, I think you got a better show for it. So, Matt, I appreciate you coming on, brother. You got a waffle. Our old faithful still stands. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Kane said,
look. Kane's like, I don't go to Cracker Barrel.
Mayor Kane.
I know, right? He's mayor of Knoxville, is that right?
Mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee.
That's
yes,
right.
Sir.
That's right. All right. Guys, I appreciate you guys for being here. Pete, Matt, Watcher, thank you guys. Chat, you guys were killing it. Nice to see Stormy in the chat again. It's been too long. We will see you guys on Monday. I probably will not. Once again, Monday and Wednesday, I will probably not make it next week, but I will be back next Friday. I appreciate you guys being here in the chat. You guys crush it. And so best chat in the world. So thanks for blessing me like that. Guys, we'll be back on Monday. If you haven't done it already, please like, subscribe, do all the things. And, go into the weekend. Stay safe.